Well, we wanted to show you Barry Sanders, some of the special things that he brings to a game. Here's that run we were talking about, the long of the year for Barry Sanders.
Yeah, and we called it a signature kind of run. He ran through a tackle, gained some yards going east and west, then went north and south, picked up a couple of blocks. It was a pretty good play by Todd Scott to knock him out. But Barry Sanders, other than that, though, I mean, he's only had 6 carries. I mean, that is a bit surprising. They're going to have to feed him the ball a little bit more because on 2 of those carries, he had losses.
Let's look at the QBs and what's happened in the first half. Pete with a good percentage, but not a lot of yards. Salisbury has been just nothing but very surprising, coming in relief of Jim McMahon.
Well, McMahon only had, 3 touchdown passes the entire year coming in tonight's ballgame. Salisbury throws for 2. Rodney Peete, though, I think what he did was, at the very beginning, we said he can't turn the ball over, and he has not. He's not given up that sack. He's felt Dolman behind him a couple of times. He's avoided the forced fumble, and he hasn't thrown the interception. So he's doing a nice job.
So the Vikings, who have a high for the year of 19 points, have 17 at the halfway point. 17-13 lead. Reveille to kick off to Vernon Turner and Derek Moore. Turner going to bring it out. Turner out to the 15-17-yard line. And so Rodney Peete and the Lions will start there. The Lions coming in here at 5-2. The Vikings 4-2. The winner tonight, first place in the NFC Central. The Packers winning today, by the way, back into contention now, 4-3 for the year. As they have started to put it back together, winning 3 games in a row. They'll start this from the 18-yard line. Herman Moore has been very quiet in this game. Yeah. Split out. He has 1 catch. Willie Green to the other side. Delay handoff to Barry Sanders, his 7th carry of the night, and look at this run. All over the place. Eventually dropped by Carlos Jenkins, who's one of those linebackers that looks more like a gymnast. He is tall, he's lanky, only weighs 219 pounds. And he eventually caught up with Barry and dropped him at the 24.
You remember we talked about keeping your legs moving when we were talking about Robert Smith? I mean, his legs are all, he runs with his legs apart. You know, they're always on the ground. He's keep the knees going up high. I mean, again, just like Robert Smith, you don't get a good shot at him. And he is strong.
2nd down now. 5 yards to go. Peete over the middle to Barry, and Barry won't get anything on this. He's back where the original line of scrimmage was on the snap. That was Todd Scott. Now, Scott has not been making the big plays that he did a year ago. You know, he had 5 interceptions, but he has really been doing a good job in run support.
Gary, I think one of the key things this game is the offensive line for the Detroit Lions really have done a pretty good job. And we talked about, boy, the #1 rated defense in the Vikings. It was going to be a defensive game, and you had to keep Henry Thomas and John Randall away. That offensive line has done it.
3rd and 4 for the Lions. Peete going to be dragged down by Roy Barker. Got rid of it and threw the interception. It's picked up by Vincey Glenn. Peete on his way down released the ball. Glenn comes up with the interception. That is his 4th of the year. What a ball hawk he is. And Rodney Peete is down and more upset, I think, than hurt.
He knows exactly. He's not hurt. He is upset because what he didn't do in the first half, turn the ball over, force it, he did right here. I mean, this is a horrible decision by Rodney Peete. And now the Minnesota offense plays on that short field. I mean, just take your loss. Take the sack. Punt it away if you have to, and play defense.
Absolutely. That's 12 interceptions this year by Minnesota. Salisbury trying to capitalize. Throws complete to Anthony Carter. It has been wrestled by Tim McKyer out of bounds at the 22-yard line, and that will be a 1st down. 12 interceptions by this team. 14 takeaways now.
Yeah, and you know, they only had those 6 touchdowns. Let's see, 40 over the last 2 years. They only had 6 touchdowns coming into the game, Gary, and we showed you the drives before. Most of them were set up by the defense after turnovers. That's why Minnesota has been good this year. The defense has set up their offense.
Barry Word is in the backfield. 1st down. Here goes Word. Word inside the 20. Fumbles the ball. And at the 20-yard line, the Lions indicate they have it. And they do. So An exchange of the football as Mark Spindler came up with it. Here's a guy they say is an overachiever, but so tough. He and Chris Spielman are good buddies. They locker together. No one comes into that territory.
You're right. But Spielman is just one of those. He and Mark Spindler are just good, tough run defenders. That's what the kind of guys you need in the AFC Central. Stuff the run and recover fumbles like he did right there.
Gary Bender, Pat Hayden. 12:52 to go in the third. After the fumble recovery, the Lions have it at their own 20. And that didn't fool anybody. You know, Minnesota's allowed only 3 points in the third quarter all season long. And so now trying to make a defensive stand here. They lost a yard on that play. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
Well, the key to this defense, as we said at the beginning, has been their front four. They have been incredible. Barker, Henry Thomas, John Randall, Chris Dolman. They get off the ball as quick as any defensive line in football.
Holman comes in motion, pitch to Sanders, trying to get him outside. Andre McMillan's there. He breaks through, and he's out to the 25. Now, they looked like they had that play hemmed in, and he broke it for a few yards. Henry Thomas, the guy they call Hardware Hank, eventually caught up with him and made the stop there.
Yeah, and Henry Thomas did make the stop, but he had to go laterally down the line of scrimmage. But he said to us yesterday, hey, when you're playing against Barry Sanders, you have to stay on your feet. You have to keep running, keep playing, and sometimes something good's going to happen. That's a nice hustling play by Thomas.
0 for 6 tonight, and it's a 3rd down again. 3rd and 5. Complete, and he makes the completion of Rodney Holman. That'll be a 1st down catch. Rodney Holman, 3 years as a Pro Bowler with the Cincinnati Bengals, and they love his experience, his savvy. His skills may have diminished a little bit, but he's been a welcome addition to this team. This team has changed, Pat, since Dan Henning came over as offensive coordinator. They didn't used to have tight ends.
Yeah, you're right. The run and shoot is dead now. They're using tight ends. They still have some 4 wide receiver sets, some 3 wide receiver sets, but when you're playing against a pass rush like the Vikings, they keep a lot of tight ends in the game.
From the 31, 1st down. Barry Sanders, and Sanders skips for 5 to the 35-yard line. Boy, I tell you, Bill Fralick really blasted somebody out of there. You look at Fralick, he's been a Pro Bowler 4 times. Lutz is up there, former Chief. And then you add Dave Richards, who had started for San Diego the last 5 years, and they've really helped the line.
Yeah, you're right. Fralick made a real nice trap block on that last play, Gary. It really set the scene there for Barry Sanders.
2nd down and 5. Rodney Peete with a roll. The ball is tipped and intercepted by Chris Dolman. And Dolman has it inside the 40-yard line. Dolman, who had an interception last year, has one in 1993.
I mean, Chris Dolman is just one of those guys who always ends up around the ball, no matter where it is. I mean, if the quarterback has it in his hands, he's going to be near the quarterback. If the running back has it, he's going to find a way to get there. If the ball gets tipped in the air, like it did on that play, Chris Dolman's still going to be around the ball.
So Pete has suffered 2 interceptions now in the 3rd quarter. Now the ball at the 39-yard line. Robert Smith, and Smith able to get to the 35, a gain of 4. It'll be 2nd down, 6 there. So after taking care of the ball pretty well, Pete all of a sudden's run into trouble.
Here's Roy Barker. He's going to tip it. Here's Dolman. He's going to intercept it. A lot of big bodies in there to slow down this pass rush. But Barker comes clean on a late rush, and there's Chris Dolman. I mean, that's a pretty athletic play for a guy who's 280 pounds.
4 passes this half for Rodney Peete. 2 of them been intercepted. 2nd down, 6. Smith got a block, and he's got a 1st down. Really good vision that time. Victor Jones drags him down, and so the Vikings, who could not capitalize on Vincey Glenn's interception because they fumbled the ball, now trying to capitalize on this turnover. They have a 1st down at the 28-yard line. Chris Dolman, a #1 draft pick out of the University of Pittsburgh. He has been to 5 straight Pro Bowls. Number 28, a first down. Salisbury looks off the coverage, hits Anthony Carter. He's tripped up. Pretty good tackle that time by Tim McKyer. Had he not made it, Anthony Carter had some running room.
You're right, Gary. In 3 times now this half, the Minnesota Vikings have thrown the ball short to Anthony Carter. Each of those times, though, Chris Carter has been deep. Now he looks right, comes left. You see Carter, 81, out there in the sideline short, but in the deep area of the field has been Chris Carter. Now that short pass there, ultimately, is going to give Chris Carter an opportunity to run behind him on a corner route for a big play.
2nd and 3, AC, Anthony Carter, 8 for 86. The other Carter, Chris, is in motion. Here comes Smith. Smith to the 15 and tripped up there. That looked a lot like that run he made against the Bears Monday night, except this time Tim McKyer tripped him up, and we have McKyer down after making the tackle. That is a first down run to the 13.
That was a heck of an open field tackle by Tim McKyer. But again, like Barry Sanders, the lateral speed is what sets guys like Robert Smith apart.
This is Tim McKyer. We're going to reconstruct what happened to him as he made the tackle on Robert Smith, who picked up a first down.
You know, he did make a nice tackle, but, you know, he got hit right in the head. He took a knee, Robert Smith's knee, right to his head. Tried to get up, and then just kind of collapsed.
Well, they're a little shaky depth-wise at the corner anyway. They've got Kevin Scott out. Of course, we mentioned Benny Blades, the free safeties, out until December. They'll have Ryan McNeil, a rookie, 2nd-round draft pick, number 47, who's bending down along with Wayne Fonts and the trainers looking over McKyer. So we have 7:57 to go in the 3rd quarter. It's a 17-13 game. Minnesota on an interception by Chris Dolman now trying to capitalize on it. They have a first down at the 13-yard line. We'll go back again and show you. McKyer got up and then went back down. Or at least he got halfway up.
Yeah. Boy, Gary, I was watching the Kansas City Chiefs game today against Miami, and Harvey Williams took a shot and lay on the field motionless for a good 20-25 minutes. Scary, scary pictures.
Well, they're being very cautious with him, as well they should, and they have their right to take as much time as they want. So McKyer still down as McNeil has come in to replace him. You know, this game, we thought there wouldn't be this much offense. It's been an entertaining game, but however, in the 3rd quarter now, the turnovers really starting to rear its ugly head as we had an interception by Glenn, fumble recovery by Spindler of the Lions, and then Dolman comes back with a pick. That's the thing that both teams wanted to avoid, was those turnovers. So now they're going to bring the stretcher out for Tim McKyer.
You know, Gary, you hate these scenes, but just talking about, you know, turnovers, inconsequential when you're looking at Tim McKyer getting pulled off. But, you know, the more you watch NFL football, I think the one determinant, or the largest determinant, I think, between wins and losses these days is the turnover. I mean, you talk about quarterbacks and how they're playing running backs and defensive linemen, but it's turnover. It's too hard to drive 80 yards in the NFL today. You need a short field to win football games and to score touchdowns, and the turnovers have been setting up offensive teams this year.
Well, this Lions team has seen enough of these kinds of injuries to last them for a lifetime, and we're not suggesting it's that kind of an injury, but it's just one of the obvious things about this game. It shows you how violent it is, as McKyer now is being very carefully placed on the stretcher down below. If you look at this NFC Central now, Pat, we have tonight the battle for first. But the Packers winning today now are 4-3, and it looks like they're ready to make a move in this division. This is going to be really something in the second half of the season. Well,
schedule-wise, the Lions have a clear advantage over both the Packers and the Minnesota Vikings. You know, they have that 5th place schedule. Or
not only that, 7 of their 9 games within the division.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know, that'll help them late in the year, clearly. But the Green Bay Packers look like they're coming on.
Sterling Sharp with another strong game today. Also Brett Favre. So what we have here again is we have a delay in the action right now. Tim McKyer, if you just joined us, tried to make a tackle and did make a tackle on Robert Smith. He's down. He's being administered to now, and he'll be taken off the field. When we come back, the line of scrimmage will be the 13-yard line. The Vikings with a 17-13 lead, and now trying to capitalize on the turnover. We've had 3 turnovers in the third quarter. So a sobering scene here at the Metrodome. Tim McKyer has started his career in San Francisco. Spent a year in Miami, last 2 years with Atlanta, and coming over to this football team as a free agent. So we'll get an update on him. You can be rest assured just as soon as possible, as he will leave and we'll begin play once again. You never get used to that scene, do you?
No, you don't. I think it's tough for players to get back into sync after something like that happens.
In fact, Scott Mitchell was talking about that today. That after the injury to Harvey Williams, and everybody, you had to be distracted. He said we just had to go about business, and that's the true professional.
Yeah.
And some of these guys able to work through it. From the 13 now, first down for Minnesota. Robert Smith in the backfield. Smith will get the ball, and he draws attention as he's able to get to the 10-yard line. Hard-earned 3 yards on that play. It'll bring up a second down. Spindler again on the stop. Spindler has been in a lot of tackles in this game. Yeah. Smith with 13 carries now for 82 yards.
Spindler and Chris Spielman, both of those guys. Somebody said, I don't know who it was, about Spindler, that when he goes on safari, the lions roll up their windows.
Somebody said that, huh? Ernest Hemingway, maybe? I don't know.
He is a rough character, but perfect for defense.
Second down, 8. Salisbury double pumping end zone. Chris Carter couldn't shake loose. Ryan McNeil, the rookie out of Miami of Florida, and William White defending on Chris Carter. There's McNeil. He did not sign until the very end of the preseason and has had a catch-up situation trying to learn to play cornerback in the NFL.
A wonderful pass distribution today for to the Vikings. The Carters with 15 catches. Jordan a tight end. Reed another wide receiver. Ismail Smith has caught 2 as a running back. So they really have spread it around.
Third down and 8. Salisbury, they got the blitz. He goes to the Chris Carter. It's up and incomplete. There's a flag. Carter was tangled up with Harry Colin. And that may be where the flag is coming against number 21, Colin. He and Carter had quite a collision in the end zone. So it'd be first and goal at the 1 if that's what's going to end up happening. And that's what it is. It's against the Detroit Lions.
Sean Salisbury, Gary, has made all the throws, and he's got a strong arm. He can squeeze it in there.
Defensive pass interference on 21 in the end zone. First and goal on the 1.
Here's the first shot of it. We're talking about they can get some zip on the ball. That's a well-thrown ball. I'm not so sure that was the guy. Here's the play. It didn't really actually look like pass interference to me on that play. They're saying he got his left hand around him, but I'm not so sure on that one, Gary.
On the goal line, they have Randall McDaniel as the lead blocker. The ball carrier is Smith. He tries twice to get in, and he did. Boy, that's a very resourceful run by Robert Smith.
You know, if you keep trying, you keep working, you keep moving your legs, good things happen. And Robert Smith, as a rookie, who began to emerge last Monday night in the game against the Chicago Bears, has really come on tonight. I mean, he should have been stopped right there. He was stopped for a while. Spindler's over him. But, you know, he just kept going. I don't think he got the ball over, though.
Boy, Randall McDaniel, though, he really pasted somebody as the lead blocker. Held him off for a while. Point after by Reves is on the way.
Gary, I don't think that ball crossed the plane of the goal line.
Well, you'd have a tough time convincing Robert Smith of that. On the other side of this break, we're going to come back and look at it again. 24-13, the Vikings building their lead. And this has been a game of, well, shaky calls. Maybe that's the way to put it. We had Barry Word with a questionable fumble on a reception. Chris Carter's touchdown catch. And now just a moment ago, you're not convinced that Robert Smith got in.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I don't think he did. Really, we're going to get a chance to look at it after the kickoff, but I don't think the ball ever crossed the plane of the goal line.
So Rebave's kicking off. Vernon Turner will bring it up. And look at this. Turner is excited. He brings it out to the 39. Have a guy like Mel Gray and then have this guy to back him up. Let's go back now, Pat. On the touchdown by Robert Smith.
Nobody argues with a wonderful effort by Robert Smith. He is really trying his best. But watch and see if he gets over. He's got to cross the plane. He gets stopped there. You know, here's the goal line, and I think he got stopped right in front of it. The line judge is right there to call a touchdown, but from that angle, it certainly didn't look like he got in.
So he has scored 2 touchdowns the last 2 games. Robert Smith, Rodney Peter, quarterback, starting for the 39. Dumps it to Barry Sanders. Sanders, as a flag is thrown, breaks 1 tackle. He got away from Strickland. Carl Lee finally pushed him out of bounds. But there's a flag inside the 35. Preliminary signal holding against Detroit.
Okay, things are beginning to go badly for Wayne Fontz's Lions. And again, they're down by, what, 11 points now. You can't...
Holding, 79 offense, 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
You know, you can't afford to really give the Vikings another chance. So now's the time with 6:35 remaining in this third quarter for Rodney Peete to make something happen here. Get Herman Moore involved in the game.
Well, that's right. Herman Moore has only 1 catch tonight. From the 29, first down now, 20 yards to go. Perriman goes in motion, delay handoff to Sanders. Sanders got a lot of purple shirts after him, reverses. Rodney Peete throws a block for him, and Sanders is now across the 35, lowers his head, and he takes on Todd Scott and is a yard short of the first down. That's a lot of running for a 10-yard pickup.
Look at Rodney Peete. He's having some fun. He kind of just creamed John Randall.
Did he ever?
It was a big physical block by big Rodney Peete.
So it's still going to be 10 yards to go as he picks up 10. They had a 1st and 20, but again, Sanders just desperately trying to find some place to go.
And another look, and again, the lateral moves, and then Rodney Peete, number 9, on 93 Randall. I mean, he really set up for, they used the shoulder pads, the helmet, the neck. It was a reasonably good block.
2nd down, 10. Derek Moore's in the backfield now, and Pete's going to be sacked. Down he goes, Chris Dolman. Dolman seemingly is lurking everywhere. That's his first sack.
Gary, one of the beneficiaries of the play of John Randall and Henry Thomas is Chris Dolman. And right before the game, he said, you know, I haven't had much one-on-one blocking against me for the last few years, but it's starting to happen because teams are doubling Randall and doubling Henry Thomas. But when you do that, that leaves Chris Dolman by himself.
Dolman has 4 sacks, but you stated it very well. Those numbers are really misleading.
Yeah, he sets up a lot of other sacks.
So now it's going to be a 3rd down, and going to be a long ways to go. We're going to have a timeout now called as Detroit a little confused. They now have 2 remaining. So we're going to take a break. 24-13. Minnesota leading the Detroit Lions.
Ernie Johnson in Atlanta. We'll send you back to the Metrodome in just a second. First, it is time for the Isuzu Play of the Day, and it comes from the L.A. Coliseum, where the Raiders were playing the Chargers and where the Chargers' Donald Frank took this Jeff Hostetler pass the other way. 102 yards for the touchdown, the game winner for the Chargers as they beat the Raiders. That is the Isuzu Practically Amazing Play of the Day. Now back to Gary and Pat.
Ernie, you're right. It was practically amazing. 3rd down and 16 as we come back into the ball game. Rodney Peete trying to get something out of this. Dumps it to Sanders. Sanders is going to be smothered 10 yards short of the first down. Carlos Jenkins is there. Carlos Jenkins, who can run to the ball. Not really big as far as linebackers go, but very athletic. Arnold to punt the football. 5 minutes left in the 3rd. The Lions have not been able to get anything going in this third quarter. 2 interceptions by Rodney Peete. Arnold to Anthony Parker. Parker knocked down at the 26. Victor Jones down there. 40-yard punt, 6-yard return. Jones doing a good job both as a starter and a special teams guy. Vince Glenn's not happy. Maybe he wasn't invited to the right Halloween party. Vikings with a 24-13 lead. We've just got a report on Tim McKyer. If you've joined us late, he was injured while tackling Robert Smith. He has suffered a back injury. He's been taken to a hospital. The good news is he's reported to have movement in his arms and legs. If we have further on that, we certainly will pass it along. Very sobering moment here at the Metrodome. From the 25 now, the Vikings with a football. Steve Jordan and wrapped up instantly. William White is over there. White, good open field tackler. He always seems to make those tackles. Very little on the play, pickup of a yard.
You know, Gary, it's only fitting because it is Halloween to talk a little bit about Randall McDaniel. Randall McDaniel gets ready for the games. Number 64 for the Vikings, the left guard, by eating 10 candy bars the night before the game. I mean, that's his pregame meal right there. And this is his kind of holiday, Halloween.
He could go trick-or-treating and really replenish that, couldn't he?
You would never say no to him when you came to his door.
That's right. 2nd down and 9. Harris Smith bursting up the middle. That's close to the first down. Chris Spielman eventually rides him down. This guy just rockets out of there. He gets off the mark so quickly. They're going to mark the ball on top of the 35. He needs to get just across it. He has 92 yards now on 15 carries.
Well, the sugar fix is working here because watch McDaniel. He's going to go down on the nose and he's going to come down and then clean up on a linebacker. It's not good enough to just block one guy. You come down and then you pick off Spielman as well. The old double dip there by Randall McDaniel.
Now, all the kids listening along the line, that doesn't mean you eat candy bars when you go out and play, right? Just certain
it works
people.
For him.
Well, it does for him.
10 candy bars.
So you can see they're just short of the first down. Who was it? Rodney Hampton did that this year, too, before a game.
Yeah.
He went out and played very well for the Giants. Maybe we have a trend here. We can't imagine what kind of a candy bar it would be. He did tell us, though, didn't he? But we can't say that on the air?
Well, he had 10. He had a bunch of different kinds.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he told me one brand in particular. From the 35-yard line now, they're going to be just short of the first down.
Well, now, you know, we're going to see Randall in the backfield. See how those see if he can jump, having eaten all those candy bars. And he lines up as fullback.
Hand off to Smith, and Smith has the first down. Well, the Lions use Chris Spielman in the same role. They just haven't had a goal line situation.
Well, you tell you, Randall McDaniel, fullback, same result, though. He says it's easier back here, this far back, because he can see the linebacker, and the linebacker doesn't try to avoid him. And he just kind of crushes. I think that was Victor Jones, and leads the way for the first down. That's a heck of a lead block by McDaniel.
How do you avoid it? From the 37-yard line, first down. Jordan comes in motion. Salisbury, the play action fake. He's got Steve Jordan wide open to the 40. He's to the 30, and he'll go out of bounds inside the 25.
Gary, before tonight's ball game, the Minnesota Viking offense was struggling. They had very few big plays out of the passing game. Dennis Green said they're out of sync. McMahon got hurt early in the game. Sean Salisbury has come in, and he has looked spectacular. Now, can you do it every week in the NFL? That's an issue. But right now, tonight, Sean Salisbury is playing like an all-pro.
Yes, sir. 38-yard completion. What were you saying? There were 15 quarterback changes in the NFL going into last weekend.
Right. So this makes 16 either voluntary or involuntary, injuries or poor play.
340 yards of total offense for the Vikings now as Smith negotiates the 22-yard line, a gain of 3.
And again, with an 11-point lead in Minnesota driving right now, the Detroit defense, which has really played well this year, must create some sort of turnover. I mean, Chris Spielman has to strip the ball, or Lawrence Pete, Dan Owens. One of those guys has to cause a turnover because they can't afford to make something or let the Vikings score again.
This guy's been given a lot of credit by the defensive people as revising their defense. A lot of new looks, a lot of new fronts. Hank Muller, the former head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Second down to Smith. He runs into Spielman, and Spielman goes backwards, but he does drop him at the 20-yard line.
Spielman is one of the more competitive people you ever be around. This is, if you play baseball, he'd pitch inside to Mother Teresa. I'm convinced of it. He'll come down, he'll read the offensive guard, plays off the tackle, and then makes the play.
Is Mother Teresa a left or right-handed batter?
He would. He'd pitch inside to
for the 20-yard line. Where do you come up with it? Third down now. Let's make it 6 yards to go. Jordan comes in motion. Salisbury flushed out, being chased. Pete gets there, and he throws it out of bounds. Lawrence Pete showing some pretty good speed for a nose tackle. That'll bring up a fourth down, and Fod Reves will come in.
Well, I'll tell you, the Detroit defense did their job, though, because if they make this field goal, if my math is correct, it's generally suspect. It'll be a 14-point game, and and then they still have a shot with 1:13 remaining in the third.
Reves has kicked a 48-yarder. He kicked that with 8 seconds left in this first half. Now at the 1:13 mark of the third quarter, he's going to attempt a 37-yarder. Reves' kick is right up and through the uprights. Fod Reves, who used to kick for the Miami Dolphins, hits that one, and it's now an advantage being built by this football team to 27-13, and Salisbury has directed the Vikings to their biggest offensive explosion of the year. The highest they'd had coming into this game was 19 points. And speaking of offensive explosions, the NBA begins on Friday. Doubleheader here as game one, the Bulls get to see Tony Kukoc coming over from Europe, and anxious to see him play. Larry Johnson, the Charlotte Hornets, they made some changes. Sir Charles Barkley will open up the season for the Suns against the Los Angeles Lakers in the Great Western Forum. It all begins at 8 o'clock Eastern here on TNT.
Who do you like? Who do you like in the NBA?
I think right now I'd have to pick the Knicks and the Suns for the finals.
Okay, I'll call you in June. See how you do. Fod Reves, look at the pads. I mean, those are dinky shoulder pads. He says he got those shoulder pads at Toys R Us. Gets all his equipment there. The shoulder pads, the little. I mean, a lot of kids are trick-or-treating in shoulder pads larger than that tonight.
You know what, though? He is a serious athlete. He told us he led his high school team in tackles, remember?
Yeah.
He says, I'm ready to tackle people. I'm bigger than most kickers.
Well, he's got the real face mask. I mean, that's key when you're a kicker. Most of those guys have that single bar, but, I mean, he looks like a player.
Reves will kick this one off to Turner, who's been a very busy man tonight. Turner, as a flag is thrown, brings it out to 22, and he was belted backwards. Greg Manuski was there, the former Washington Redskin. He is leading this team in special teams tackle. He's a backup middle linebacker to Jack Del Rio, but a flag was thrown way back at the 30-yard line. Going to go against Detroit.
Here's Manuski. I mean, special teams play 30% of the game. Or up to 30% of the game.
Holding 32 on the receivers, 10 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Well, it could have been number 97 holding, too. That was Darryl Ford that was ahead of Manuski and trying to hang on, and Manuski got there anyway. So they're going to mark the ball at the 12-yard line, and right now the Lions need to get something going.
Yeah, 14 points. We've seen a lot of Barry Sanders. They are hoping to keep the game close, though. Right now, I think they really need to be able to get Herman Moore involved.
They have a trips formation to the near side. 3 wideouts. One of those in the game for the first time, Aubrey Matthews. Delay instead to Sanders. Sanders skips out across the 15 to the 17. So you split 4 guys up and then hand off to Barry Sanders, and Henry Thomas made the tackle. That'll mark the ball out to the 17. You can see again how hard Barry Sanders has worked this year to get the yardage he has. He's averaging 103 a game. He has 65 yards on 12 carries.
Now, one of them was a long run, was
42 yards.
42 yards.
So again, a trips formation to the near side. Mark. I think he was offside. He had to be.
All three defensive linemen met back there at Rodney Peete.
Kind of intimidating, isn't it?
Yeah. But I want to, Dolman for years has set up other defensive linemen, but right now Thomas and Randall are setting up Chris Dolman.
Start prior to the snap, left tackle. 5 yards, repeat second down.
Well, that'd be Thomas. Oh, they're charging it against Detroit. Lomas Brown.
Yeah, at the top of the screen there, number 7. I don't know
either.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they thought Thomas had jumped inside, but they're saying it's Lomas Brown. Let's look at it again. Oh, that's almost simultaneous, but I guess maybe.
Before the snap.
That's awfully shaky. Pretty close. 5-yard penalty, back to the 12. Second down and 10. Now this time Barker comes across and grabs Dave Lutz with him.
Barker does a smart thing though. As soon as you get jump offside, you blame it on the offensive lineman. You start pointing.
Or that he grabbed him and then went through the gesture of how he jumped.
I think Roy Barker is right.
False start prior to the snap, 86 offense.
You're going to see Lutz, I think 73 there, flinch. By that time Barker is.
Well, he said 86, and if 86, that'd be Willie Green, a wide receiver away from the ball.
What? It wasn't Lutz there.
Well, this was not a good quarter for Detroit. They had 12 plays, 2 turnovers, 5 penalties, and they trail after 3, 27-13.
Yeah, let's go back to that penalty just a moment ago, and there's Willie Green. He's the guy that moved early, and they called the penalty on. There it is.
The old flex.
Right call.
The old flex cost him. Detroit has 37 total yards in that third quarter to add to the miserable third stanza they had. As we come back, it's second down and 15.
These are 2 very big downs for Detroit. Can't be offside. Try to get the first down in 2 downs. You have second and third down. Don't necessarily need to get it all in one and force the ball, Gary.
Well, the crowd is alive as we start quarter number 4. Rodney Peete throwing up the field. Wide open is Herman Moore. There's nobody there. There's nobody within 20 yards of him. And Herman Moore goes 93 yards. Wow.
Well, we said he had to get Herman Moore involved. We just thought somebody was going to be guarding him, though.
Boy, did that quiet the crowd.
I've seen some wide receivers open in the National Football League, but I don't think I've ever seen anybody that wide open.
It's almost like he came off of the bench. 93 yards. And Detroit try back in this one. On a 2nd and 15, Pete found him. And somehow or another, the Vikings lost contact with number 84. Talk about a stunner. This crowd here is hushed. Jason Hansen, point after attempt. Hansen's right down the middle. So now we have a 7-point game. It's 27-20, and Herman Moore, can't believe I don't think he was this open.
Both the safety and the corner jump on the slot receiver, and that is a complete breakdown of coverage. And 93 yards later, we have a new ball game. A 7-point lead by the Vikings.
(27-20). Now Todd Scott is explaining what happened. I'd like to know what he's saying right now on that blown coverage.
And he bit on a slot receiver, and Herman Moore ran right by him and Carl Lee.
4th longest pass play in Lions history. Their longest 99, tonight a 93. Padre Ismail brings it out to the 15-yard line.
Let's go back and have a look at this touchdown. Now, here is Scott, and here's the corner. Now, they both jump on this slot receiver. Meanwhile, old Herman Moore runs right by both of them. I mean, Pete looked there first, but because he scrambled and had a little bit more time, he went to the second receiver, and Herman Moore was, as you saw, open by 20 yards.
He was motioning furiously to get Pete's attention. He had both arms stretched up in the air, and Pete found him. That's the longest touchdown pass in Rodney Pete's career. From the 15-yard line, first down. Robert Smith, and Smith hammers it out to the 20. So 27-20, the Lions have come back when things look very desperate on a 2nd and 15.
A couple of things have happened here for the Lions, though, in the last few series. First of all, their defense forced the field goal. Remember, to make it a 14-point game, Gary, forced a field goal. So the defense did a pretty good job in some tough circumstances. Then the offense has a 90-yard drive with a long pass to Herman Moore. And now it's back up to this Detroit defense, trailing by 7 points as we start the fourth quarter to make it happen again, get a turnover.
Robert Smith has gone over 100 yards. He has 102 and 19 carries. Pass complete to Chris Carter. Lions swarm to the ball. It'll be a 3rd down and still 2. See that the long touchdown fired him up defensively. Victor Jones is there. Chris Spielman.
And Chris Spielman just has a feel for the game, and he studies and he works at it. And he goes over there, and he's the first guy to Chris Carter. Now, Chris Carter's not going to go down easily like a little wide receiver, but Chris Spielman, he is passionate about the game. And he loves this game, I think, as much as any player in the NFL.
Having maybe his best year. 3rd down and a yard. Carter in motion. Salisbury rolling. Completes it. And Chris Carter has enough for the first down. He's been driven backwards, but they'll mark his progress across the 25, and that'll be a first down. Kind of an interesting call on 3rd and 1.
Yeah, you know, they've been so successful with short yardage with Randall McDaniel in the backfield as a lead blocker, but they decide to go into a passing set with 3 wide receivers, and they still picked it up.
Shows you the confidence that they have now in Sean Salisbury, who has played very well in relief of Jim McMahon, who went down in the 2nd quarter of play with a bruised shoulder. He is 23 of 32, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. He beats Salisbury. Here's Smith. Smith popped hard as he's across the 30. Well, they call it the black and blue division.
Yeah,
and we've had some black and blue hits down there tonight.
George Jameson, whom we talked about a few times, the outside linebacker for the Lions. He just did a magnificent job of taking on the block of Steve Jordan and fighting, got rid of him, and then makes the tackle on Robert Smith.
Strength of this Lion defense is those linebackers. One of them, Dennis Gibson, not playing tonight. Swilling is hurt, so they've had to shore it up with other players. 2nd down and 5. Salisbury to Smith. Smith with a nice move gets the first down. Smith has really been a workhorse tonight, carrying the ball, catching the ball. Anthony Carter threw a nice block that sprung him for that first down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was Anthony Carter, number 81, the wide receiver, who caught a touchdown earlier. But when you see a guy like Robert Smith out here, you know what he could do with the ball. Even the wide receivers block. Boom, right there. Cuts back inside for the first down.
What it says right now about the Vikings, after being stunned, they have not lost their poise. They're moving the football. Now have it short of the 40. First down. Intended for Carter. Good coverage that time by Ray Crockett. Coaches are saying about Crockett that he's ready to take it to the next level. It's been a very solid performer. 5th-year man out of Baylor. A year ago he had 4 interceptions. He's had 11 in the last 2 years.
Yeah, Ray Crockett is a very good zone defensive player. I mean, he has that ability to be able to read through the tight end in the back, wide receiver, see the quarterback. He has a big viewfinder. Is able to kind of assimilate a lot of information with one kind of look and then anticipate.
2nd down 10. Smith carrying to the 42. You know, Smith is only the 4th Viking rookie to gain 100 yards on the ground, and he has 109. This is the beginning of what should be quite a career.
Yeah, if he can avoid injuries, remember Terry Allen has had 2 serious knee injuries for the Vikings, but if he can avoid some major injuries, Robert Smith is going to have have a very good NFL career, because, Gary, he has got some speed, real big-time speed, and some power at the point of attack.
He's shown some toughness tonight, too. 3rd down and 8 yards to go. And Smith will be dragged down short of the 1st down. So it'll bring up a 4th down. He stopped at the 45.
And, Gary, the Lion defense did their job again. So the last few series, they've done a nice job.
Give credit that time to 59, Tracy Scroggins. Spielman was also over there.
Okay, give some credit to Spielman, too, because these receivers are going to clear it out, and Smith's going to come right out here, and old Chris Spielman is going to pick him up. So Spielman on the short yardage physical plays, and then on pass coverage.
The punt underway by Newsom. Driving back to the 5. Vernon Turner. Turner's out to the 15. Look out to the 30, 35, 40. And he's going to get across the 50 to the 45. He was like a jet as he goes up the middle. Eventually tackled by the Vikings there. Jake Reed caught up with him. 53-yard return after a 52-yard punt.
Gary, if you do this as many times as Vernon Turner has done tonight, it is no accident. This guy makes up his mind, picks up some blocks, and now the Lions have superb field position again. That's a great run.
Vikings lead it by 7, but the Lions good field position. This evening it was announced that an NFL Charities grant was made to the New American Schools Development Corporation, making the league's total commitment to this comprehensive educational program $750,000. NFL Charities was formed so that the NFL clubs could collectively make grants to worthy national causes. In recent years, NFL Charities has made grant commitments of more than $14 million. Let's go back to that return by Vernon Turner.
Well, you can see a lane show up right here, but there's a couple of big blocks that Vernon Turner sets up beautifully. He picks one up like a Stone, Jones, Matthews, McNeil. And that was beautifully set up. 53-yard return. The Lions with the ball. Barry Sanders, maybe a yard. Chris Dolman pinches it in, knocks him down there. Barry Sanders, 13 carries, 66 yards, has caught 7 passes tonight for 40 yards. But other than the one run, Gary, the Minnesota Viking defense has done a real nice job on him. Well, that's what they said. Yep. Nothing's been a gimme this year for him. He's had to work for everything, and Dolman's made him work tonight. Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9. Holman comes in motion. Rodney Peete sprinting out, being chased by Barker. Barker dives at his feet, and they're going to give him his forward progress where? Looks like just outside the 40-yard line. Barker showing some pretty good speed. You know, he was a 4th-round draft pick a year ago out of North Carolina, and he was giving number 9 a real foot race on that one. Gain of 2, 3rd down and still 7. 2 of the NFL's best runners tonight. One a legitimate star, one an emerging one, and that is Smith. 3rd and 7 for Peete and company. And that should be enough for the 1st down. Brett Perriman falling backwards. He went just far enough to that front end of the stick, caught the ball, and it's a 1st down inside the 35. Here you're talking about how tough it's been for Barry Sanders. You know, he had the one long run for 42 yards, and his 12 other carries, he's only gotten 24 yards on those. So it has been tough sledding against this #1 ranked defense. You know, last year in 2 games, Barry only had 118 yards against the Vikings. So this is historically the way it's been going. 1st down. Dolman coming after Peete. The pass is there for Ty Halleck, the tight end. He's the rookie out of Michigan State. He thought he was interfered with. Audrey McMillan says no, sir, and he was there with him. Yeah, Audrey McMillan is right, but Ty Halleck, I thought, did a nice job of breaking up what I thought was going to be an interception. And Halleck is going to grab the head there of McMillan. Oh. Yeah, he's going to keep him away from the ball, and then he does a nice Laurence Olivier looking for the pass interference. He tackled his head. Yeah. So it's 2nd down 10 from the 34.
Pete again. Herman Moore makes a nice spin move, but still doesn't shake Fred Strickland. And to the 29-yard line is where they are. Still 5 yards short of the first down, and Moore now is shaken up. Now Moore has had some problems with the hamstring, but he's holding on a different part of his leg now. Herman Moore, with that 93-yard grab earlier in the game, has put together 3 superb games. He was 14 for 212 yards in the previous 2 games. Tonight, 3 for 113. Wayne Fonts said that he will be, by the time his career is over, the finest receiver in Detroit Lion history. That spin move evidently caused that injury. Let's go back and look at it again.
He's right up here, and you're going to see on this replay, he just gets his foot caught underneath him and has someone fall on it. It's an ugly looking ankle. Yeah, ouch.
Who would have thought there would have been 47 points scored with 6.5 minutes to go in this ball game here? Minnesota out in front. Bob Neal here to ask you to stay tuned after the game for our Holiday Inn post-game stadium show report. Warren Moon of the Houston Oilers will be with Kevin Kiley and me. We're going to talk about expansion, the big day in the NFL, and of course, see the stars of this game.
From the 29-yard line, 3rd down 5. Herman Moore's out of the ball game. Audrey Matthews replaces him. Pete back to throw. The pass complete to Willie Green. He's got it to the 15, and they deliver. On 3rd and 5, the Lions are still alive. That's a 14-yard completion. That is the first catch of the night for Willie Green. By the way, just a moment here, I want to take this opportunity to say that Tim McKyer, who left the ball game earlier, was taken out on a stretcher. The report we have from the hospital is he is okay. He's staying overnight for observation, and that is welcome news.
Great news. That is great news.
Staying overnight at the hospital for observation tonight, just as a precautionary measure. First down now at the 15. Holman comes in motion. Double pump by Pete. Over the middle, complete to the tight end. That's Jimmy Johnson. And Johnson, who doesn't get the ball very often, makes that catch. Fred Strickland drags him down at the 5. That may be a 1st and goal. Let's see where they mark it.
Gary, you're going to see Herman Moore there testing his ankle. But regardless of whether you have Barry Sanders on your team or not, a quarterback like Rodney Peete has to step up and make a few plays every football game. Rodney Peete has done that tonight. He has made some significant throws tonight to get his team right back in it.
They are just short of the first down. 2nd and less than a yard to go. Peete gets off to Sanders. Sanders giving ground, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. Back to the 9. Jack Del Rio was there. And so after 2nd and less than a yard, now they go to 3rd down and 4.
And that is a big play by Del Rio. And it's a big play because you're forcing them into a passing situation right now. And Henry Thomas and John Randall did their job to allow Jack Del Rio to roam free. 55 is Jack Del Rio. I mean, he steps in the hole, fights off the block of Dave Richards, and then puts the stop on one of the hardest running backs to tackle in the open field, Barry Sanders. That's a heck of a play.
3rd down and a long 3. Pete bouncing around is tackled for a loss. Henry Thomas got him back at the 15, so they will now have to settle for a field goal on this 4th down.
He was lucky he did not fumble that ball. He actually did fumble the ball, but it wasn't recovered by the Vikings. Henry Thomas, we said at the beginning of this broadcast, you have to take care of him because he has been putting all kinds of pressure with 6 sacks on the year on the quarterback. But now watch, he's going to come in and strip him of the ball, but it comes back to Rodney Peete.
Hanson to attempt a 32-yard field goal. And the kick is good. And it's now a 27-23 game with 5 minutes, 20 seconds left. So they didn't get 6, but the Lions did get 3. And Rodney Peete will get another opportunity later.
Tony Dungy has done a remarkable job as the coordinator of this Viking defense. Let's go back to that last sack of Rodney Peete, because you're going to see Randall here, Thomas here running a stunt. This is Barker coming up field. All three of these guys raising some havoc. He has to avoid the outside rush of Barker. He steps right into Henry Thomas. John Randall's there to make a play too.
Hansen, who's 3 for 3 field goal wise, kicks off to Ishmael, and they'll bring it out to the 20 on the touchback. Well, we've come to the midway point of this NFL season, and let's take a look at the action on the Coors Light scoreboard. Dolphins with Mitchell, just a superb day. Look at those numbers, Pat.
Yeah, he was remarkable. Had some fun too.
Colts 3-4 after losing to Miami last week. Bill Parcells' team is hung tough, but they just can't seem to win those. Chargers, that's a welcome relief for Bobby Ross. His team has really been struggling. Broncos winning at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Elway with a strong day, and the Jets finally able to hang on at the end of a ball game. First down now from the 20-yard line. Robert Smith in the backfield. He got a yard, and that's all. Robert Porcher gobbles him up there. Looking at the rest of the action here in the NFL. Packers have won 3 in a row. Cowboys now have won 5 in a row.
Emmitt Smith had a huge day.
49ers roughly treating their West Coast counterparts, and the Saints picked up that win over the Cardinals. Now Joe Bugle's going to win 7 of his next 8 to keep his job. Here is Kelvin Pritchard, and he is going to sack Salisbury. That's the first time we've called his name tonight. He's a former #1 pick of the Cowboys. They acquired him on draft day that year, and he makes an impact play there.
And Gary, this game is a long way from being over. With 4:40 remaining in the fourth quarter, Minnesota up 27-23. And we have seen a little bit of everything in this game. We've seen some great defensive plays. We've seen fumble recoveries for touchdowns. We've seen 93-yard touchdown passes. Good short yardage plays. I mean, this game, which we thought was going to be a defensive game, has had a lot of big plays in it.
3rd down and 14. They need a big play here. Smith is not going to get enough of it as he brings it out to the 21. Pritchard again made the stop. Crowd didn't like that call at all. On a 3rd and 14, a little delay up the middle. So now Newsom will come in and punt the football. And Dennis Green's team with a 4-point lead.
Right now, the most valuable player may be Vernon Turner. I mean, he's back to accept this punt right now for the Lions. This guy has had a phenomenal day returning punts and kicks.
Last time he returned 153 yards.
Yeah, and so if you're a Minnesota Viking coverage guy, you better get your paws around Vernon Turner.
Turner is going to get a return out of this one at the 31. Trying to get to the picket fence to the far side. Got a block. Toby Castone trying to help him out, and Turner in a frenzy gets out to the 37. He runs excitingly, doesn't he? 7-yard return on a 48-yard punt. Fred Strickland voicing his displeasure to Turner, and good field position now for the Lions.
You know, you talk about Barry Sanders getting everybody to stand up and cheer. Vernon Turner can do it as well. I mean, he's got speed. He sets people up. I mean, he can stop and start, break tackles. There's that old knockdown linebacker we talked about before, Fred Strickland, who finally took him to the turf.
Well, I tell you, the Lions had a miserable 3rd quarter. Pete was one of those. He had 2 interceptions in that quarter. But since then now, he's come on in this 4th quarter. He is 6 of 7, 135 yards and a touchdown.
And now it's time for the Viking defense to do it again. Get that sack, get the turnover, the interception, the fumble.
Rodney Holman will come in motion, starting from the 38-yard line. Pete's going to have to scramble out of there. He got away from Barker, then is trapped and thrown for a 2-yard gain at the 41 by John Randall. So we have 3:15 left to go in this NFC battle for first place in the Central Division. Right now, the Minnesota Vikings with a 27-23 lead. They had to change quarterbacks. Jim McMahon went down in the 2nd series. Sean Salisbury has come in and put on quite a scoring display. The most points the Vikings have scored this year, but they still haven't won it. As now from the 41, Rodney Peete on a 2nd down and 7 yards to go. Peete up the field, complete to Aubrey Matthews. His first catch of the night. Playing for the injured Herman Moore. And that'll be an 18-yard grab. Aubrey Matthews had a 40-yard catch against the Rams last week. He's kind of a dependable little guy they bring in. He only stands 5'7".
He is a valuable guy, Aubrey Matthews. You know, Herman Moore goes down with an injury. You bring in Aubrey Matthews, keeps the drive alive. I mean, a guy who can play all four of their wide receiver positions.
Approaching the 2-minute warning. The Lions have 2 timeouts remaining. Now, timeout is going to be called, and it's going to be called by Minnesota.
Boy, that's a valuable timeout to lose there.
So the Vikings have 2 timeouts remaining. And Wayne Font's very excited now. His team down by 4 with 2:07 left and a 2-minute warning still to stop the clock for him.
Well, we said black and blue and defense and all that, and it turned out to be anything but that. I mean, we've had some real good defensive plays, Gary, but I mean, this has been an exciting game.
Following this game, the Holiday Inn Stadium show. Bob Neal, Kevin Kiley, Warren Moon, and EJ Ernie Johnson from our studios in Atlanta. They'll catch you up with what happened today if you were out on the sailboat or hitting a golf ball or maybe in some areas trudging through the snow.
Yeah, or trick-or-treating.
That's right. Yeah. Trick-or-treating. Are you going out after the game?
Well, I might.
Are you going to go as Pat Hayden? I mean, that would scare a few people.
I'm going out as the guy who invented the semicolon. I'll figure that out.
Is he related to Harry Colon? First down now from the 41. Pete complete to Willie Green, and Green, who's very quiet until this quarter, makes the catch. That's very close to the first down, and it is. It'll be just short of the 30, and the 2-minute warning is here. Rodney Peete got popped on this play.
Well, you know, you've got to take this as a quarterback, and you have to survive shots like that from Henry Thomas if you're going to win the game when your team trails by 4.
(27-23). Danny Green realizes they can hang on here. They'll take over first place in the NFC Central. Well, Pat, we really know what we're talking about, don't we? What did we say this is going to be, a defensive battle?
You said I thought it was going to be a big fireworks offensively.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we only have 702 yards in total offense here tonight.
Yeah. And we've had a little bit of everything. But right now, Rodney Peete is thinking about getting the ball in the end zone. Field goal does them absolutely no good.
They have 2 timeouts left. Firing across is Dolman, and he hits.
They got to blow the whistle.
Now, see, they got to get the whistle blown on that play. You can get somebody killed.
Yeah, that's if you're worried about protecting quarterbacks, you have to blow the whistle early on that kind of play, and loudly.
And they may have a personal foul here. Let's see. Unnecessary roughness.
I think it's a good call if it is.
Offside,
Nope.
56 defense. 5 yards, repeat first down.
Nope. So it will be a 5-yard penalty, but Dolman got a free shot here.
Top of the screen, number 56, Chris Dolman. Sometimes guesses on the snap count and makes some plays, but you know, the whistle wasn't blown, so he didn't stop. They should have blown the whistle.
Didn't make Rodney Peete feel any better, though, did it? And now Dennis Green's on the field. He is standing over there yelling and taking his headset off, walking back to the sideline, but he's upset. And that's only the second penalty against Minnesota in this game for a total of 10 yards. And now on the other side, we have Fonts on the field. He's yelling at the other headlinesman. It's going to be a 1st and 5 now from the 25. Intended for Barry Sanders. That would have been short of the first down had they tackled him there. He needed to get to the 20. He had the ball at the 19. It'll bring up now 2nd and 5.
On the Monday night game, it was Jack Del Rio who saved the win with an interception. And Jack Del Rio was covering Barry Sanders, number 20, out of the backfield on this one. Just threw it behind him.
2nd and 5. Holman in motion. Peete stepping up, delivers to Holman. Holman drags the tackler inside the 15, first down. Clock now running with 1:43, 11-yard pickup on the play.
Biggest surprise to me tonight is how well this offensive line for the Detroit Lions, for the most part, for a good 90% of the game, has given Rodney Peete some protection, Gary. 3 new offensive linemen, came in as free agents, and they have done the job tonight.
Given up 2 sacks. They've given up 24 in the previous 7 games. Pete on a first down. Dolman coming to the backside. That's incomplete. Intended receiver is Brett Perriman. That'll stop the clock with 1:12.
You know, at some point, Gary, you have to be careful about getting the ball downfield too much. You know, it's almost easier to throw the ball into the end zone from this area of the field than trying to pick up the first down, or, you know, getting the ball down there inside the 10-yard line. I mean, you obviously have some more field to work with. They need a touchdown, so they may think about taking 3 shots and throwing the ball into the end zone.
Pete with 269 yards. That's his high for the season. He had 249 last week. Second down 10. Quarterback draw, but it didn't fool anybody. A quarterback draw, and Chris Dolman read it and knocked him down instantly. I mean, knocked him down.
And Chris Dolman saying, don't run that stuff on me.
So it's going to have 3rd down and still 12 yards to go. They stopped the clock momentarily to reset it, and now they'll stop it again, and the Lions will use their second timeout. 1 timeout remaining with 1:01 left in the game.
Okay, 2 different approaches here, Gary. You know, it's 3rd down. You need a touchdown. You can take those 2 shots into the end zone for the touchdown and the win. Or you can try to get it and get a first down in 2 throws. Maybe, you know, throw a 5-yard route to a tight end or a back on the move. Maybe you can break a tackle, pick up a first down. And if you're short, go for it on 4th down. I think it's a little easier to score from this part of the field than trying to pick up a first down. Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. They've had a very good night offensively. Offensive line have done their job. They've had some big pass plays, a 93-yard touchdown, Herman Moore. And here's where you'd like to have Herman Moore, Gary. I mean, a receiver who's 6'3", can out-jump some people inside the 20-yard line, the red zone. You'd love to have a Herman Moore with his kind of size, so you can get a size mismatch like the Vikings did with Chris Carter.
Well, the Lions have 335 yards in offense, and it's still not enough. 1:01 left to go. 3rd down and 12 for Detroit. Willie Green split out. Matthews split out. Vernon Turner's in the wide receiver set along with Perryman. Pete over the middle to Barry Sanders, trying to fight for more yardage. He's dropped at the 12. It'll be 4th down and still 9 yards to go. Del Rio again with a big play.
Yeah, a week ago Del Rio intercepts the Chicago pass to save the game. There he tackles Barry Sanders in the open field. I mean, that is a very big play by Jack Del Rio.
And the Lions use their final timeout. You mentioned Del Rio's interception on the goal line that saved the game Monday night.
55 right there in the middle of your screen. He is the linebacker. He sees the inside route and drove right in time. Then almost caused a fumble. Get some help from Carlos Jenkins. But that's good team defense.
Del Rio told us yesterday, he said, I'm stronger and faster than I was 5 years ago. He said, I came out of college. It was too easy for me. I wasn't as good a shape or as serious about the game as I should be. He's bounced around, but the Vikings love him at middle linebacker.
Yeah, he has really become a professional in every sense of the word.
So it's 4th down now, 8 yards to go. This is for first place in the NFC Central as we have 48 seconds left in the game.
Receivers have to know where the first down markers are. Otherwise, get in the end zone and make something good happen.
Stepping up against the pressure. End zone. Broken up. Incomplete. Anthony Parker made the play. There's a flag now coming late. The flag is late. There is a flag inside the 5.
That flag came very late.
Parker made the defensive play on Brett Perriman. Well, let's see what the determination is here. If they have a goal line situation, they'll have him Spielman in as the lead blocker. That's what it's going to be. It's against Minnesota. It'll be first and goal at the 1 with now 43 seconds left in the game.
Defensive pass interference on the 1-yard line. First and goal.
Wow. A reprieve for the Lions. They do not have any timeouts left.
Yeah, here's Parker. They're the defensive back they're going to call it on. The receiver's waiting. He comes in late. Well, I don't know, Gary. He came in and I thought he turned it away. There comes the flag from way over there.
And a very late one. There it is again, Pat.
That's not pass interference. I'm sorry.
It's first and goal at the 1. Derek Moore is the back behind Spielman. Here comes Moore. He's in. Touchdown. And the Lions take the lead. Derek Moore, their goal line guy, with his second touchdown of the year. The only guy that scored a touchdown for the Lions other than Barry Sanders the last 4 years.
Gary, it's a heck of a drive by Detroit, but I'm sorry. I don't think that was pass interference.
Plays 61 yards. Took 2 minutes and 46 seconds. 29-27. Important point after to make it a 3-point lead. And Hansen gets it. 30-27. As the black and blue division has put on quite a show here tonight. 40 seconds to go. The Vikings will get it back. They'll have 2 timeouts remaining. We're going to show you the touchdown of Derek Moore, and then we're going to go back again to that controversial pass interference.
Good lead block by Spielman. And again, Derek Moore is smart enough just to kind of follow that lead block into the end zone. But going back to the alleged pass interference, it's Anthony Parker.
I'm with you, Pat. That's pretty hard to call with such a big issue on the line. That is such a big call in this midway point of the season. As an end result, right now, the Lions hanging on to first place in the NFC Central. If they win here, they go to 6-2. The Vikings have dropped to 4-3, and Parker obviously shaken by the call. Boy, you hate to see a game like this decided on that very important play. There is still a chance. They're down by 3. They have 2 timeouts left. 40 seconds left for the Vikings. Hansen won't let them return that one. He just continues to send the ball out of the back of the end zone.
Now, Reve's, his career long, Gary, is 52 yards. Now, to give him a shot at that, they'd have to get the ball to the 35-yard line. So that's what the Vikings are thinking about now. Got 2 timeouts remaining, which is a lot. 40 seconds is plenty of time if you can hit one of those receivers on the move. Chris Carter's been the go-to guy tonight, and they have a chance to tie this baby up.
Salisbury has thrown for 234 yards, 2 of them going for touchdowns, but he needs some more. Chris Carter goes in motion. Salisbury buying some time, and he just threw this one away. Pretty good pressure, penetration that time by Detroit, especially Antonio London, number 51, a rookie out of Alabama, who was their 3rd-round draft pick. Now they're resetting the game clock. 34 seconds showing right now.
Again, they need to get the ball down to the 35-yard line of the Lions to give Revez a shot, a legitimate shot.
Officially 34 seconds, 2nd down 10. 30-27, Detroit. That's through the arms of Smith, and Spielman comes up with the interception. That was quite an interception. And so the Lions will stay in first place in the NFC Central.
Well, Spielman's still living the dream, and maybe he won't be miserable for a week.
Be a little nicer at home for his lovely wife, right?
I'll tell you, Chris Spielman, as we said, as passionate about the game as anybody. He said, I was born to be a football player, and more importantly, born to be a linebacker. 54 right in the middle of your screen. And he's got a torn, bicep muscle on his left hand. He still makes the interception. And he's played some short yardage tonight. He's played some mean linebacker. And then that play, he was a receiver.
He hasn't given up that football either. That's the third turnover by the Vikings. Spielman, a high school fullback, played for his dad in high school out of Massillon, Ohio, which has been tremendous as far as high school football tradition is concerned. The Vikings cannot stop the clock. They're out of timeouts, and what a game this was tonight, and what a way to finish this 93 season here on TNT.
Gary, I want to thank you for a great year. Our entire crew did a sensational job. It's been a lot of fun. We want to wish the ESPN crew a lot of luck next week, the rest of the year, but thanks for a great year.
Yes, sir. You're a good friend and a real professional, as Wayne Fonz gets the old Gatorade treatment. So many people you want to thank. Want to thank the guys in the booth, Roger Riley and Tom Delnos, Peter Lasser and Lonnie Dale, our cameramen, our guys who do all the work, who are so dedicated, so committed to what we put on throughout this 93 season. We thank you. Pat and I especially are very, very privileged to be part of this. And Shannon Mizell, the guy who will get us in the right place tomorrow.